This is Bill Jones with recapturefederalism.com and operationofficialmisconduct.com. Today we're going to have a little discourse. Subject and the title is The Parable of the Corrupt Politicians. Oh, I know you won't find anything in the Bible that's with that title. This is a takeoff of the Luke 16 parable of the unjust steward, also known as the dishonest manager. Some other things too, I guess. But we're just, for today's relevance, we're going to rename it just for this purposes, not change anything in the reading of the scripture. But it's going to be the parable of the corrupt politicians. The text here is from the Lamb's translation. Luke 16, verse 1. And he spoke a parable to his disciples, saying, There was a rich man who has a steward, and they accused him that he was wasting his wealth. Wow, relevant today, of course, when you're dealing with politicians in the United States. The United States is a republic. The government of the United States is the people. And there isn't anybody richer or wealthier than the American people. We've lost quite a bit in the last few years, and that's why we have this parable. So the rich man is the people of the United States, we the people. And we had a steward. We're a republic, so we have elected representatives. And they're stewards. And what is a steward? Well, in this parable, going back a couple thousand years, he's wasting his wealth of the rich man. The steward, they're responsible for the money, the funding, the wealth. Keep an eye on it. Fiscal responsibility, fiduciary responsibility. And he was wasting his wealth, so we have some fiduciary irresponsibility going on here. And we get to verse 2. So his master called him and said to him, What is this I hear concerning you? Give me an account of your stewardship, for no longer can you be a steward for me. Yeah, rich man's cleaning house, little purging going on. Perjuring too, I guess. That's another story. But they're getting rid of some people here, the stewards, because they're not doing the right thing. Misappropriations, embezzlement, among other things. So the steward in the story, then the steward says to himself, what will I do? Well, like this is going to happen around with these Democrats and establishment Republican people. It probably won't happen, but as the story goes, they ought to look at this real close. What will I do? For my Lord will take away from me the stewardship. I cannot dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. Oh, that pegs them pretty good around nowadays, doesn't it? And I know what I will do, so that when I leave the stewardship, they will receive me in their houses. Well, if they go voluntarily, they might be received somewhere. I think some judges and some courts might want to say, hey, what do you got there in your pocket, in your bank account? We want to talk about it since you've mishandled the public funds. But anyway, we continue on. And he called his Lord's debtors one by one and said to the first, How much do you owe my Lord? Yeah, like I said, that's like this is going to happen. But It'd be nice. It'd be the best way, the most peaceful way that things happen. How much do I owe my Lord? Well, he owes the rich man and the citizens $17 trillion, among other things. That's the debt, by the way. And talking about that debt, whose debt is it? It's not the people's debt. The debt belongs to those representatives. They're the ones that incurred the debt. You can't transfer debt from one person to another, especially when you mishandled and have done it illegally. But anyway, we continue on here. And he starts going down here. He said to him, 100 measures of butter. He said to him, take your notes, sit down, and quickly write 50 pounds. And that's what you're going to have to do. 10 cents on the dollar, or what have you. Because they can't cover, the two political parties can't cover $17 trillion now, can they? Yeah, they stole it from the people, tried making the people pay for it, but that's not going to happen now, is it? So he goes down to 7th, and, and he said to another, and you, what do I owe to my Lord? And he said, 100 bushels of wheat. And he said to him, take your notes, sit down, and write 80 bushels. See, we're trying to get that 17 trillion down nowadays. Then we got verse 8. And the Lord praised the unjust steward because he had done wisely. For the children of this world are wiser in their generation than the children of light. Yeah. If the representatives would do that, that would be the wise thing to do. Sure hope when they get around to that, they make that decision. Verse 9, and also I say to you, use this earthly wealth, however acquired, to make friends, so that when it is gone, they will receive you, and you will have everlasting habitation. Do it right, or who knows, may end up in prison or something. And then 10. Listen very carefully. Here comes the wisdom part of this, the next 4 verses. He who is faithful with little is also faithful with much. And he who is dishonest with little is also dishonest with much. Boy, does that cover the two-party system and the politicians. We know how dishonest, how little faithful they are. Oh, verse 11. If therefore you are not faithful with the wealth of iniquity, who will believe that there is any truth in you? The wealth of iniquity. Iniquity is evil, dishonesty, corruption. They're not even faithful with that. They've just, they're gluttons. They've got so much greed, so much pride. And there isn't too much truth in politicians now, is there? Verse 12, and if you are not found faithful with that which is your own, who will give you that which is your own? Listen carefully. You may end up with nothing. 13, no servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and like the other, or he will honor one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon, mammon's wealth. So here we are, the two masters. We hear this a lot in the Bible, in the New Testament, especially. Two masters. Dishonest politics, or the Judeo-Christian morality standard. It seems like they've given up on the one, persecute Christians and Jews. Yeah, but their day's coming, because the rich man, the citizens of this country, they have a solution for them.